this work? I think it works. It has been a long time since I've made a video. Not for lack of things to do, but simply lack of time. I have been very busy recently. My day job obviously keeps me very busy, and finishing out the detail season. So as you probably do not know, I detail on the side, which is where the Hayes Auto Works comes from. And it has been a very busy time, as you know, people are getting ready for winter, wanting to make sure they have some protection on those cars, whether it be just a regular coat of wax, ceramic coating, things like that. I don't make videos on that stuff, but it's kept me very busy to the point where I haven't had a lot of time to do my own projects and make these videos, because I do enjoy them. I do enjoy my projects, but things are starting to slow down. My work is starting to slow down a little bit as we go into the holiday season. Speed back up, early spring, as will detailing. So what that means is that's going to give me a whole lot more time to work on my own stuff, whether it be the S10, the Nova behind me, the 55 Ford. I've seen a few comments asking about that. It's been over a year since my last video on the 55 Ford. I think it's time to bring that back a little bit. But the purpose of this video is simply an update, kind of go through where we're at on various things. I have done quite a bit off camera, simply because I still want to work on my stuff a little bit, but I mean, we're talking, I may spend 10-15 minutes, sometimes an entire week on something. So let's talk about the Nova first. Since I'm already in the shop here, the Nova's in the shop with me, let's flip this camera around and kind of go over what's up with the Nova. I haven't done any official videos on the Nova yet, except for kind of the first one where, hey, look, this is what I've got. I got rid of the 73 because of this reason, that reason, got this 70. This is 1970 Nova. You probably haven't saw that video. If you have, go check it out. But the car is completely stripped. I have tore it completely down, motor and transmission's out. Interior is completely out. Roll cage has been cut out. The floor pans need replaced. Yeah, overall though, the body's in decent shape. I have kind of found a few of the issues. We've got this lip here, which I'm probably going to repair that correctly. I do have an entire quarter I can replace, or I can just, use a patch panel to replace just the arch. The rear deck filler panel needs some love. As you can see here, we've got, can you see there's a hole here, and then this panel here has got little holes all the way through it. So I do have this complete panel to replace this one. It's just spot welded in, won't be difficult. I also have the rear glass channel to replace, basically from here all the way up, well, just about to the curve. So that'll take care of that. I have the trunk pan to fix the hole where they had the fuel cell, because you may or may not remember, I do have a Sniper EFI OEM replacement tank with a 400 fuel pump. On this side, I've already started sanding it all the way down to bare metal. It's a lot of work. It's got about four paint jobs? I think it's got 4 paint jobs. So it's been a pain to get this down to bare metal. I didn't do any videos on that because I just kind of thought it'd be boring. Nobody wants to see hours of somebody sanding on a car to take it down to steel. I did find some interesting repairs. Somebody riveted this little patch panel here, and I've got some rust down here. But like I said, I've got this entire quarter to replace, but the quarter itself is actually in pretty good shape. So what I'll probably do is take my replacement quarter and cut from about here, probably about to the lip, because I don't want to replace the whole lip unless I have to. But again, we'll get into that once I get to it. Other than that, it's been a pretty solid car. Did find some interesting damage up here. It looks like a tree or something, or they drove under something, fell on top of it. In a perfect line, it just kind of dented in the roof a little bit, so they tried to fill it. And I mean, they did a great job. I never knew it was there. You can't see from underneath, so I'll probably smooth that out and leave it as is. And that's about as far as I got. On the front end here, it had a 327 with a turbo 350 trans. I yanked all that out and sold it because, as you may know, I'm LS swapping it, twin turbos, all that good stuff. I already have the full Ride Tech suspension to put underneath, but for now I'm going to leave all this together because I need to be able to roll it around. I do have 2 new fenders in the front. The fenders that were there had some rust spots and some poor patchwork, so I thought it'd be easier just to replace the fenders. So I got new fenders. This is really the worst spot in the front, and it's not even that bad. I do have a complete dash panel here if I wanted to replace it, but I think I cleaned it out. Gonna do some, gonna put some rust encapsulator there, and probably just a little bit of filler and call it good, because that's never gonna be seen anyway, and it's in decent shape. But that's really about it with the Nova. We haven't got very far. I've got an absolute ton of parts. I've got everything to rebuild the engine, twin turbo exhausts, blah, blah, blah. I have the full Holley EFI, the Holley mid mount, valve covers. I got a full 70 Novo rewire kit, so we're gonna put all new wire harness in it. AC condenser, the fuel tank, and in my storage building beside us here, that's where all the sheet metal's at. So that's really the Nova. Let's talk about the S10. Let me open this door. So as you just saw, the intro of this video is me swapping out the Optima battery for a cheap Walmart battery. This is number 4, I think. This Optima red top here is number 4. I will never buy another Optima battery. I mean, it's been ridiculous. I've had 4 of them in the S10, all warrantied out, of course. And then with the Corvette, if you may remember when I had the C5 Corvette, I went through 3 red tops in it. And you would think I would have learned my lesson then, but I did not. I will never buy another one. If I do spend extra money on a high-end battery, it'll be an Odyssey. Odyssey makes a fantastic battery, and I will stick with those. But for the sake of this, because I'm tired of it just being dead in the water, I put a Walmart battery in it. So let's pull this inside and kind of talk. As you can tell, there's another cam. It sounds okay. So let's talk about the S10. Where I left you last time was, it was fixed. The transmission was shifting as it should. It ran, it drove. It was great. I was happy. Everybody was happy. We're all happy. And I kind of left you with the hints that I was gonna maybe put the sniper intake back on, the pretty stuff, put another cam in it. Well, I did that. And that was one of the things I did off camera. I didn't really film that because I was kind of in a hurry, and you guys have saw probably multiple people install cams in these by now, but I know I've done it at least twice with this engine, with the new one, the old one, and whatever. So I didn't really feel like needing to film that, and that's kind of where we stopped. So we got all the nice pretty stuff back in here, including a cam. Now you may be wondering what cam I went with. I did not keep the same BTR stage 4 that I had. This time I went with a one of the Summit Pro LS series cams, and I went with their stage 2 low lift grind. I read a lot of good reviews. It would work with the LS6 valve springs I already had in here, so I figured why not. It was a good price. It should be a decent sound. It had a good duration, good LSA, and it should have been easy to tune for. And I threw that in there, and it actually, you know, it did well. I didn't have any issues. The tune worked great. It fired up. It ran. I actually drove this truck for about a month, just to work and around, and, you know, out on weekends to town and pick up a few things here and there. No issues. I do need to tighten the alternator belt here a little bit. It does squeak. I did make some brackets for the radiator. Nothing special there. But here in the past 3 to 4 weeks, so the past month, I guess, things have went downhill with the S10. I have my suspicions, and we'll get into those, but one of the main things was that stupid red top. We're moving on. So I put this Walmart battery in here, and I can promise you it will work just fine. So it definitely wasn't battery related, you know, as far as the way it runs. Right now, it's it'll start, it'll move, it'll run. It doesn't run well. It's almost like it's missing, but I can't track down where it's missing at, you know, which cylinder. I can't tell if it's a coil pack. I can't tell if it's an injector. I actually did have an O-ring go on an injector in cylinder number 1 here, but I replaced that and it was good to go. I don't know. I'm kind of been at a loss. Now, granted, I also haven't spent a ton of time on it because I just haven't had a ton of time. The first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to pull these valve covers off and I'm going to double check preload. I have a suspicion that in my rush to get this thing back together after I threw the new cam in it, intake, etc., I set that correctly. Now, I'm reaching there, but I don't know what else it could be. I mean, it's got new plugs. Everything is new, right? So I just don't know what else it could be unless I've got my intake and exhaust valves not set properly because of my rush. So I'm hoping that'll fix it. And I'm hoping I find, you know, a bunch that are loose. And another reason why I think that could be part of it or all of it is, as you may or may not know, the LS engines, especially when you run these fabricated intakes and cams, they do have quite a bit of valve noise. You'll get some people say they hear nothing. But I've had a few of these now. You know, the Vet was an LS1. I've had a few other vehicles, trucks, whatever. They all have some valve train noise. And especially when you put a big cam in it, like, well, this ain't a big cam, but put a cam in it, you're going to hear a little more valve train noise. So I've been noticing as it started running worse and worse, I kept hearing a little more and more valve train noise. So I'm just wondering if maybe something's not, you know, set correctly. If I need to tighten something down. I know typically what you do is you wait until the corresponding intake or exhaust you're working on is on the base circle of the cam before you torque it down to, I think, 22 foot-pounds. And like I said, I may have gotten in a rush when I was putting it all back together, so I'm hoping that's all it is, but we'll find out as quick as we can. And this is kind of a disappointment because I really wanted to have this thing painted and put the rear end in it, because remember, we're putting that posi locker back there, and I've also got a couple Beltec lowering blocks to kind of level the truck out. But it just seems like one thing after another with this thing. I mean, it's been a headache, to be honest with you. Now, the month or so that I got to drive it, it was an absolute blast. Man, it would just pick up and move. It sounded good, turned heads, does all the things you want an LS swap, a cammed LS swap S10 to do. It checked all those boxes. But now we're kind of back at the, what do we got to fix now? So that's kind of where we're at with the S10. But if you're still with me, first of all, I appreciate it. Why don't you go ahead and subscribe if you haven't already done so. Makes it feel a little better, makes me want to make these even more frequently. But let me know what you think. What do you think about the S10? I know I didn't get to show you putting all the pretty stuff back on and the, tuning the cam and stuff like that. But there really wasn't much to show that we haven't already done in the previous S10 videos when I was going through all the headache of trying to track down the issues. But let me know what you think. I mean, it sounds pretty good. I will say that. The Summit Stage 2 Pro LS cam, good value. Anyway, that's going to be really it on the S10. I don't got much more to add. Like I said, we are going to get moving on it again. So if that's why you're watching this video, stay and watch the rest. But more videos on the S10 will be coming very soon. So let's talk 55 Ford. Man, it's always something with batteries. So as you may remember, the 55 Ford is still rocking the original 6-volt positive ground system. I did upgrade that a little bit with a 9-volt battery. However, the car sets so long sometimes that the batteries go dead. And in this case, the battery's dead. Yeah, battery problems. So I just moved the car yesterday, and we've made a lot of progress on this car over the past year and a half, whatever. I think I've owned it for about a year and a half now. I made about 3 videos whenever I first bought it. Basically, this is an all original 1955 Ford Custom line with 22,000 original miles. I've changed nothing except new. I put new stuff back on. So yeah, she's all factory. I did have to replace the master cylinder and fuel pump, fuel lines, fuel tank. I rebuilt the carb. I put a new voltage regulator. That's really about it. I mean, some new hoses here and there. but everything you see is how it was when it was new and how it was when I got it. It's pretty impressive actually. It'll fire right up. It definitely still needs the timing set because it doesn't want to fire up easily, but you know, it'll still move, it'll run. It does need the brakes adjusted, so in some future videos here we're, you know, planning on doing some of that. But so what I've done is, you see there's very little rust left on this side, but on this side there's still a bunch of that surface rust. So half the car has been wet sanded with about 1,000 grit, and then machine polished down with compound and polish, and then finished off with a coat of wax. And what we get is this shiny side. I don't know how well you can see that on the camera, but it has been night and day difference. So you can't really tell on the hood either, because I've already done this side. This side's been sanded but not polished yet. The front fender up here has been sanded but not polished, and then we got to get all this. Once we get all that, it'll really change the way the car looks. And I know there's still some damage to the paint. You know, you could, some may argue you should paint it, but I mean, this is original paint. You know, it's still the lead-based lacquer paint, and it actually cleans up pretty well. I don't, like I said, I hope it comes through on camera okay, but it definitely cleans up pretty decent. Ignore that front wheel, I was playing around. I do still have the chrome hubcaps that go in there. Gonna get the same treatment as the body, because if you look at the bumper, the chrome here, it isn't bad. But keep in mind, this front bumper, it looked about like the bottom of the fenders. Did the same thing, wet sanded with 1,000 grit and then polished out, and it came out fantastic. So I mean, it's not perfect, you know. The grill there, that's, I'm not gonna be able to do anything with that, and unfortunately that's got to, you know, that's about $500 to replace. I could pull it out and have it, you know, replated, or I could even have it powder coated. I thought about that, but I'm probably not gonna do any of that. Again, the goal with this car is to leave it as original as possible. I want to get the carb, you know, dialed in. I want to get the timing set, throw some tires on it. I got a brand new exhaust. It's not original, obviously, but the original exhaust was rusted out. But I got all that to put on there, and you know, it'll be an original car. The clutch still feels really good. It moves. I've taken it down the lane, taken down this lane a handful of times, and it drives good every time. I move it around the driveway quite a bit. It needs brakes. Let me rephrase it. It needs the brakes adjusted, because if you remember, we replaced the shoes, the springs, the slave cylinder, not slave cylinder, wheel cylinder, and all the lines. It just needs adjusted now, and I just haven't gotten around to it. But this car is still here. Like I said, I know I've seen a few comments in the past few weeks, people asking about it. It's kind of taken a back seat to the S10. Mainly because I've just got so much time and money wrapped up in that S10. It keeps frustrating me that I just want to get it done and drivable, or not drivable, daily drivable. But yeah, so there's what, I don't really got much more to add on the 55. It's coming. That'll actually probably be the next video you see. I want to finish the paint work. I want to get that all polished out, get the rest of it sanded, and then, you know, you can see the difference there. But that's probably the next video, is doing some of the paint correction on this original paint. And I think it'll be interesting to see kind of how it turns out, that it's, what is it, 65-year-old paint. Let's see how it turns out after, you know, I put a little love on it. Last but not least, that El Camino. I've got paint, I've got engine dress up. That's about all it's getting. It's not getting much. We're not going to talk about it. So this was a very long video. It was definitely a major update video. I hope that you've all stayed this long. If you haven't, I understand, but you're not going to know that I understand because you've already clicked out. If you've stayed this long, I really appreciate it. I do plan to be making more videos now that, you know, I'm kind of going into the slow season. My garage is heated, so it makes it easier to do things like this during the winter, and the details should slow down. My day job should slow down. So we got a lot to do. Like I said, the 55-4 is probably the next video you're going to see, and then we're going to jump right back into the S10. Once the S10 is borderline done, the 55's at least cleaned up, I've got a lot of stuff to show you for the Nova. But no, I hope a lot of you are as into the Nova as you were the S10, because the Nova is going to be a pretty cool car. I'm really excited for the Nova. Really excited to show you what all I've got planned for it, what all I've already bought. It'll be a wicked car whenever we get it going. All right, so I think that'll do it for this update video. If you've listened to me ramble on this long, you're awesome. But I'm going to go ahead and thank you for liking, commenting, and subscribing. And until next time.